this isn't a private business, and we need to keep that in mind.
No problem.
I'm with you 100%. Eagle Antiques, I'm with you. All of that run of buildings, I'm with you on most of these.
But I think we have enough ordinances in there to cover that.
And that was going to be my next point. I feel like we already have enough on the books to go after these people.
Okay.
I don't feel like setting up anything else is necessary to deal with them. Tim, do you?
Yes.
Salem goes after vacant commercial properties.
This is private business.
Being used for parties.
I mean,
that's a whole different story.
Lori, you can't go downtown and look at a building and say, this building looks good, but nothing's in it. Man, I wish that they would put what I want in here. We should find them. That's not, you can't do that.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I mean,
I do think they should be cleaned up. I mean, there
we
are
have ordinances for that, and
Like,
I agree.
cracked
And
windows,
if we need to,
yeah.
if we need to update our commercial ordinances as far as blight goes,
I think they all need to be torn down.
then I'm with you. But I mean, to me,
Well, I believe that if they got in the right hands, they're like that. It's the flower shop, right? That's you guys
Yeah.
you're talking about, right? The little
which
flower
one? On the corner of
Plaza
Fifth?
down, no.
But you could tear
downtown.
that down and make a nice
Mexico
little
with
strip
Caucus.
plaza there.
shop. You could
Yeah,
tear it
very
down, or
nice
you
stores.
could you have the ability to make that look nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and I know somebody that wants that property, and like, you know, but the people that have it are
They want it.
astronomical with it.
They want,
But
they want $500,000 for the,
Yeah, it's
for the
ridiculous.
property next to Salis.
what? Which property?
Yes.
No, Nixon went 50,000 for it. It's
Yeah.
online. It's online at 50,000. But they might want 500 between Eagle Antiques, Suburban Aluminum. But Nix is 50,000. I seen it online. 50-some thousand.
Which is still.
But
a
it's
lot
not
of
for
money.
us to dictate.
No, I'm
That's
just saying. I'm
somebody's
just saying my
property.
opinion. That's a lot of money for that building.
Right, and you know what'll happen? Nobody will buy it because it's too much money, and that person will
And that's
sell.
probably where the Salem got the vacant property thing, is because it's just going to sit there.
Yeah,
can't-
in all honesty,
But I'm just saying
like,
that's probably what it
true.
is.
There is a fine line.
Yeah.
Okay,
Between-
because it is getting very old, going downtown and seeing all the empty buildings,
And
you
they're
know,
not being taken care of.
and they're not being taken care of.
Sure,
So it is.
but then they need to be fined on the grounds that they're not being taken
Yeah,
care of,
property
not
maintenance.
correct, not on the grounds that they're vacant.
Yeah.
That's my whole
The
point with
property
this.
maintenance laws should be in
And then
effect.
you have the people that do own the buildings that either want astronomical rent,
And that's
because
their,
we know like Fifth Street Plaza, first of
that's
all, like,
their
I
but
even
that's
looked
their prerogative. It's
I know.
free business.
Right. And that's their product, but it hurts the city because it's vacant all the time because they want too much money.
And we have nobody coming in because it's too
So
much.
you don't get people in. So I'm just saying, I get where, because I know you own, you know.
Well, listen, I own a
but-
lot of things, but that isn't my point. My
Right.
point here is liberty, is freedom. I mean, you can't dictate what I'm going to sell my property for. What anybody is going to sell their property. They bought that property and they own it. Now, I can dictate that you keep it up because the rest of us have to look at it.
Well, then that should be
Then-
dictated to them because
but then
honestly,
that-
it's.
But we have ordinance for that. Jimmy,
What
chime in.
what about, you know, trying to incentivize these people to sell this stuff? And you know, Columbiana did something that I don't particularly
The
agree
tax
with.
break.
The whole tax abatement thing
Oh, I
for
love
10 years. You know, you don't pay any property taxes
Correct.
for 10 years.
If you build there. That's
If you
on a
build there.
new structure.
So I mean, if you can incentivize downtown in that manner, that if you put up a new structure downtown, you know, I mean, you know,
We used to
working
have the rolling.
Facade grant.
Yeah, the facade grant, where we would pay up to $20,000.
Yeah, we would do a match.
A match, yeah, and
That-
some people took advantage of it.
But it's, you know what, the only thing with that is, and I think it was great, you had the same people taking advantage of it
Yeah.
every time, which I would too. I'm downtown
Sure.
But
now.
wasn't it only for a specific area?
It was downtown.
Downtown,
Just-
yeah.
Downtown. But the abatement, Jimmy, I
Well,
love
the
it, and I
upholstery
think
guys
honestly,
took advantage of
long
it.
term, if you did an abatement like that,
Beyond
then you
that.
might see
Yeah.
people saying, okay, I could run the numbers, and it's worth me buying this building, tearing it down, because the cost of buying it and demolition will probably fall under my 10-year tax abatement. I think Columbiana does 15.
yeah,
I think it's 15 years, yeah.
But you know, I mean, you know, something like that, and that's something I meant to mention to Sam when we were talking about that whole comprehensive plan thing. Was
Sure.
you know tax abatements, you know, specifically for downtown to make something happen.
I'm with that 100%. And let me tell you something that's even better. So, for my first term here, in Caslo, Aqua Ohio built their building. we were able to partner and do what was called a TIF program,
Yeah.
where it was before their taxes are appropriated the first year, you can divert those for 10 years. So the county won't actually get them.
Mhm.
They basically go into a pool that we are able to use.
That's
The
still in
city's
effect,
able.
though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's still in the book.
It's still making us money now.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to use that, match it. We can even borrow against it because it's guaranteed income.
Mhm.
Now, any structure that was built, we're able to do that with. So, if you can incentivize people to build down there, give them a tax break, and still figure out how to TIF that property, if that's possible. I think we're mixing a lot of things in here, but that
Are
would be
we,
the
are
key.
we getting our brownfields back?
Hey, John.
Council or?
Or behind Astros?
Yes.
We're getting all that property back?
26 acres, is that what it was?
So that we finally have some property to build on.
Sure.
Because we're landlocked otherwise.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. But
So that's where we could do the incentives.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you know, it's
Yeah.
like
But incentivizing people and fining or taxing people are two completely different things.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? To me, on the one end, you're almost bullying people.
right.
On the other end, you're giving them an incentive to actually do something here. And let me tell you, you're going to get a lot better response incentivizing people than bullying people.
Yeah.
And as John, being our legal counsel, how do you feel about the vacant commercial tax?
The vacant, you mean?
Is that what it's listed as under here? Vacant.
I'm sorry, I don't even know what. where
This
that
is the legislation that kind of came up today.
So this is if you have a vacant structure, they're going to give you some sort of an assessment or
I will
something?
fight this to the death.
I don't necessarily know if it's fair to ask me a question from a legal perspective, because from a legal perspective, there's nothing wrong with it. I think philosophically, I might have my disagreements with it.
From a moral standpoint then, John, how about that?
Yes, I would.
You would say that it probably borders on communism.
I would say that, yes.
I would say the same thing.
Yes.
And in this day and age, here, like I said earlier, I think we're walking the line for
But I think we do need to come up
aggression.
with an incentive
We're
then,
there.
because a
We've
lot
been
of people.
being very aggressive, and I'm for it. But I think with this is a pure overstep, 100%. Government should not have this authority.
Well, you know, kind of taking a step backwards, you know, like Nick's, you said it's up for sale for $50,000. If somebody knew that if they bought that for $50,000 and they had a tax abatement for
Correct.
whatever period of time,
I agree.
they may say, hey, this is a no-brainer. This is the
Correct.
place for me.
And think about it this way: I'm going to buy it for 50. It's going to cost me about 25 to get tore down, so I'm 75 into the property. If I build there and I had a 10-year tax abatement, I'll more than make that 75 back.
Yeah.
That's how you bring business in.
Yeah.
You don't bring business in by taxing people harder or putting more restrictions on
Right.
it. That's my opinion.
Well, that's the only way I see things happen in downtown Struthers, because it's like, you know, who's going to take the first steps, and that's all it's going to take is somebody take that first step and do something.
It's been like
Do
that for as
something
long
right.
as I've known.
Yeah.
As long as I've lived here.
Yeah.
Joey's on the phone with them three people constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly.
And it's going to just continue to be a struggle in that
Yeah.
regard.
Yeah.
I mean, until something happens.
But again, I feel the need to protect private business. I'm just being honest.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't
feel
disagree
like
with that.
telling people that if you don't have a renter in your place, although you take care of it, you pay the taxes, you owe us a tax. Being a tyrant.
Yeah, but if you can go in and get a fire hazard or something like that inside.
Love it. Do it. You know what I mean? If that's what it is.
Well, we
those
did, right? I mean, for the most part, with that. So I don't understand that.
So what's
Why is
going
it-
on
yeah,
with it?
Yeah,
why is
again,
it
my-
a standstill?
That's what I'm saying. It's at
two
a
different things.
standstill.
We have ordinances on the books to combat those things. If we need to sharpen those ordinances, I'm fine with that. But bringing in a vacant property tax or a vacant structure tax is not that. We're doing two separate things here. So focus on the fact that the building's dilapidated and let's go after them in that
So,
regard.
what
Not
about-
on the fact that there's nobody in it.
What about just registering your vacant property?
Oh, if they have,
Well, don't they have to be registered?
Mm-mm.
Well, like no, because like all these houses that sit empty, shouldn't we at least have somebody, like the owner, at least register them with the city? So
for
it's
what,
like,
they probably
just
already
to
are.
say
If
that,
they're,
hey, like, I
if they're
own this
paying
house,
property
like-
tax, they probably are ready.
If they're paying
The
for-
city can go look up who owns any house. Why would they have to
Or
register
if
that?
they're rental properties, then
Then
Yeah.
they'd have to be
For
registered.
rentals.
But if they're not rentals, then I guess I don't understand why so you have to register your home if it's
Well,
not
I
your
think it's just
residence
more so-
with the city? I'm asking, I'm not,
I think it's more so like, okay, so if Joey would get like multiple complaints about a house and it's empty, at least he can look it up and see
who owns it?
who has it. I know. Well, hold on. Let me explain this before you interrupt me again. And then he can at least go and see who has owned it in the past or who is doing anything with it and like a contact information. When I look up on the auditor, you don't get a contact information. You have to search for the person to actually get in contact with them. You can't just look up their name and say, oh well, telepathically, let me just tell you that there's something going on with this vacant property you have.
Yeah, I guess, I feel like we're
Well, for instance,
reinventing
okay,
the
just
wheel.
like for me, just this situation, like next to my parents, the house is empty, got infested with cockroaches. I know you guys heard about that.
Mhm.
They had no idea who to contact. On the auditor was under some real estate agent, but there was no contact information.
We're gonna do a little bit of homework to find that out. Now we're gonna make a whole nother,
I'm just saying it would be an easier step for Joey to be able to contact the people and say, hey, like, this house is.
so you wanna start making people who own houses in the city register them?
I
With
mean,
the
you'd have to do
contact
that for
information.
everybody.
Yeah.
You do it for one, you gotta do it for all. And if they're paying, my thoughts, if they're paying property tax in the city,
Just
it's
call the
probably
county.
already registered.
Yeah, so call the county and figure out where the taxes are coming from.
Yeah, I don't need to register my house.
Me either.
I don't.
I register my rentals. Aside from that, I mean, really pushing
I think
the
we have
envelope
enough
here.
laws in property maintenance and all the violations to cover these houses that are empty. And if they're not being taken care of, then we either,
What we
after
have
so
is-
many fines, we take it by eminent domain and tear it down.
Right, and I mean, what we have here is saying, these people don't take care of their property, they don't take care of their property. Well, so cite them.
Yeah.
So find them in court.
Cite 'em.
We just gave Joe,
Yeah, the
he's
power-
able to cite them through the city.
Administrative fees.
I mean, how much farther are we gonna take this? Over the last few years, the things that we have put in, we've put a ton in.
Yeah.
We
We gotta let it work.
absolutely.
Gotta let it work.
gotta let it run its course.
And I mean, plus you're now dealing with a whole nother set of infrastructure for registering these properties as well.
Yeah, and if Joey wanted this, he should have probably presented this or let us
I mean,
know.
Yeah,
exactly.
specifically what he was looking at in here.
Yeah,
Yeah, we might
But,
actually be talking about something that he didn't
Not
even
even-
intend for us,
Right.
and we're,
yeah.
I guess, interpreting it wrong. You know what I
Yes.
mean? But I do feel like we have a lot in place now,
Absolutely.
as far as to know who's renting from us, and
They don't
again,
like it, but that's the way it is.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how to streamline this anymore, and I'm not gonna.
Well, see, they're having them pay an annual fee to monitor
Which
the
is really
building.
outrageous. I mean, $1,000 a year.
So we're gonna monitor buildings, the city of Struthers
Come
will
on.
monitor.
How much? I mean,
It's $200 for the first year, $500 for the second year, and $1,000 for the year
So
after.
we'll become a security business.
no. So you know what happened? People won't buy property here.
No.
They got
You
a
know what
lot
I
of
mean?
property out in Salem, but it's commercial, that's
Sure.
just, so that's why they put this together.
I mean, we got we haven't even started building our fire station yet, and it's how long?
Yeah.
And people are starting to wonder where the hell's the money going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Now, and instead of worrying about these vacant homes, let's start getting these projects moving.
Yeah, they've been in contact with them,
Really, I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I know that. I know
but
the
they-
COVID.
but they have
thing's been-
meetings every week.
I know, but
Mm.
they're not
We
breaking
don't
no
really hear about
ground.
them though, so we don't know.
They don't have shovels in hand.
But they
Yeah,
gotta,
yeah.
they gotta
Have
figure
a
out
have
a
a
contractor.
hammer meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Where you gotta bring a hammer and a saw.
as far as I'm concerned, and that's just me, but we're overstepping,
Right.
and it's becoming easier every time we push that line. The line moves
Well,
a little further
yeah.
and a little further and a little further.
I don't want to. I don't wanna take the place of the responsibility of somebody's property that should be taking responsibility yourself.
Sure.
It's not my job to do that.
No.
And then
And
we
when you're
had,
dealing with
like,
commercial
yeah.
structures, I mean, come on. I know everybody wants to be a little bit harder and harder and harder on people, but most of the time the people making those complaints, they don't own anything. You want to see something good in Nick's, you know what to do? Buy it and do something with it. And aside from that, quit complaining. Unless you're willing to get in the game,
Well,
quit complaining.
I think we have a lot of hard stuff in place, we just, like, we have to let it work. It's only just started. I mean, how long's it been? 6 months? 7 months? Gotta let it play it out a little bit and see what happens.
Yeah.
And we just gave them the new
Just tweak it.
authority to fine people, so that should pretty good impact on people doing things, getting
If-
things done.
if somebody wants to change my mind on a little bit of this, they're gonna have to come in here and explain reasons why and exactly why they want us to do this and why. And how this is going to help us. And I'm still probably not gonna go for it. But this had no shot.
I don't think this is gonna help us at all.
No.
For anything.
I think we're just going too far. We put some new stuff in, let's let it work.
If we could just get even those storefronts, like looking decent,
No.
would be.
I agree, Lori, but again, the storefronts, those are dilapidated, okay? Those structures look poor. If we have ordinances in place, then cite those people.
No,
I'm
I
not-
agree, I know, that's what
Yeah,
I'm just
I'm
saying.
not gonna
I'm
go
saying, you know,
further.
that's-
I know
that's
at
a
one
big-
point, we
Yeah.
were trying to talk to all the store owners to get nice awnings, everybody looked the same, you know, so it would look nice, but, you know, these people gotta pay for it. They don't wanna pay for it,
Yeah.
then what are you gonna do? Fine them because they don't wanna pay for something you wanna do? Can't do that. You can fine them if they don't take care of it, the
Correct.
way they want.
And I'm 100% for that. I mean,
Absolutely.
and when you're talking about Eagle Antiques, literally, I hope the place gets tore down. I've been in there before. It's atrocious. I would never go in there again, and I might end up with a serious illness one day, and it's probably because I went in there. That's really how bad it is. Now, that's different than telling somebody, you don't have a renter in here. This isn't an ongoing business. Now you have to pay us a tax for that. I mean, come on. How much you gonna tax people? So, anybody got anything else?
I have a
Dead
question,
issue,
actually,
that's
speaking-
all I can say.
And what's that?
Kill it. It's a dead issue.
Alright.
Just
Alright.
a question since like we're kind of on this topic. So Mike's old party shop on Argonne and Sexton, you can see how bad it is inside, and I know that there's
And
been
people live
meetings.
there, right?
People live
Yeah,
there,
people
yeah.
live upstairs.
Live upstairs.
Oh,
So wouldn't the
That's what I'm
downstairs be
saying.
considered a fire hazard if you went inside there because it is so packed with everything?
I don't know if they've been in there or not, I'll find out.
Okay, yeah, because that's just something I was thinking about while we were talking about this. Like you could see it from the
But it's-
street how horrible inside
It's no
looks.
longer a business.
But
Personal
is it still
residence.
a commercial property? Okay, so I don't know if we have something that could be.
I could tell you that we
Cited on
probably have 5 things on as far as,
Muhammad.
yeah, the blight goes there. You know,
Yeah.
we run into stuff all the time. But it does seem like when you ask those guys for something,
When-
they take care of it.
Yeah, they had a problem in the backyard with parking a car on the neighbors, and that was all taken care of.
Well, same thing I know at the Shell on the corner. Every time we've said,
That's who
hey,
owns it, right? The people that live
yeah,
there.
I would say, hey, anytime they got something said to them, they did meet our demands, or
But I
they
think
did
Mike's
clean
party
it
shop
up.
even has like a cracked window in the front and
Yeah.
things like that. Like
Yeah.
it's just very.
That's been cracked for a long time.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm sure they would probably address it if somebody went there and said,
Yeah.
I mean, because every time we do, they
Yeah.
do fix it.
I know the property line for that property is crazy.
Yeah,
It goes up the driveway and
I
then
know that.
across, and then it goes back
I used to own the
down.
property next door, and I was like, this is my driveway. No, this is their driveway. Oh no, my driveway goes back 20 feet, then it becomes theirs. It was odd. It was odd.
So just to follow up on Eagle Antiques and Mike's party shop. That's it for next
What else
week.
we got?
That's all I got.
Ready? Anything?
But honestly, honestly, so it's good to bring this up
I love
because,
it.
Yeah, I know.
because you have a different perspective than somebody else may have or whatever, so,
Right.
you know, you can't always all have the same,
Absolutely. I mean,
Mhm.
Well, that's what
I'm,
these meetings are all about.
right.
I'm
So, I
always
mean-
going to be for free market. Always. Always. The government, not locally, I'm not talking about us sitting here. It infringes on way too many things. And it usually gets involved, and it usually messes them up. I mean, that's just the nature of what it does.
And can we also have a follow-up on
just
what's going on
saying.
with Los Gallos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm just saying that antique store and this and that downtown, they gotta be gone.
I'm with you on that. No,
They gotta be gone.
I ain't gonna dispute.
It's been too long.
I ain't disputing that in any way, shape, or form.
But I think that whole investigation started even before Joey and Tim
Yeah.
were even.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That's been going on since as long as I've been here.
Well, they
Yeah.
were
Right.
investigating it when Michael's Pizza was there. When
Okay,
the
yeah,
court had
so,
that.
like, I
So
mean-
it was all.
Oh, yeah, that's
it was
right.
all
Yeah.
involved in that.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And,
And again, I don't want to come off that I'm protecting these people because I'm not.
but they do have rights.
But they do have rights, and you know what I mean. And as far as I'm not protecting them from, if you don't take care of your stuff, you
Right.
should be fined.
Yeah, they
We
should
But
should
as
not
a
be
be
city,
able
our
to
follow
take
through needs to be better where we need
But
to
what
follow
what
up
I'm
with-
also saying is taxing somebody for not having somebody rent their property is wrong.
Okay, yeah, well, like you said about following through, I think what we did with Joey last week will be
Will
a
help
plus
that.
for that,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it takes it out of the court system, which was delaying a lot of progress.
I agree, and now, to a good and a bad. Now it's going to go as a lien more than likely on their property, which is good.
Yeah.
The bad is if they don't sell their property forever, that's just going to.
Yeah. so-
Yeah.
We're not going to actually get payment from that. It's going to get kicked down the road.
But then eventually, if they owe us more than what the property's worth, we could take
We
that
can do-
property
yeah.
over.
The
Couldn't we?
county.
Yeah.
To the county.
But also Joey can still cite through the court and do
Yes.
administration. Like so.
And that's why I'm just kind of like, we have allowed, we've put the things in place for them to be very aggressive.
Sure.
I don't know why we're gonna keep going and going and going and going.
We gotta see some
we did
results
this, let's
from
let
what
it
we did
work.
already.
Let's, you know what I mean?
We gotta see some.
Yeah, let's
what
let it work.
happens. Because I do think we have enough in there to cover a lot of the problems we
Yeah.
have here.
And I mean, honestly, if you, the places you named, the Nick's department, if you go by Nick's department store, there's infractions there. From the outside of the building, there's infractions there. If you go by, any of them, you know what I mean? You go by Eagle Antiques, there's infractions there. Has anybody, well, no, and nobody's been in Eagle Antiques since the fire chief a few years ago?
Yeah, they were in, when I was off, maybe a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, and for that matter, the people that own Eagle Antiques can say, hey, I'm storing my stuff in there.
That's his whole,
You know.
that's his whole life. He'll tell you everything is, everything he owns.
Yeah.
Everything is doused in cat pee.
What are we doing with the buildings on Midlothian that Martin owns? That's roped off. Who tied them off? What are we doing with them buildings?
We have sent them a letter, correct? Martin?
What?
We missed a good meeting tonight, John.
Midlothian,
Sent-
Danny Martin's
who-
buildings?
Did we send somebody a letter? No, I don't know if Joey sent it. I don't know what's going on with that property, to be honest with you.
It's roped off, you said?
They're,
It's roped off?
Yeah, it's roped off with caution tape.
We
You
got,
can't walk there.
on Midlothian, the one on Midlothian, I don't know. We got a letter from his
his
attorney
attorney.
for the club, wanting to know,
For the bike, the
Yeah.
motorcycle club.
yeah, what authority we had to go in and inspect the property.
We had,
But that's really all I know about,
Well, it's
we
property
had a
being rented,
structural, we had a
correct?
structural engineer there and walked
presumably.
through that
Okay.
process.
But he's not, there are occupants other than the owner in that property. I have no idea whether they're actually paying him any rent though. That I don't know.
Should have been inspected before it was occupied.
Exactly.
Should have
you're
been,
right.
should have been, well, I don't know, in all fairness to Joey, I don't know if this just popped up.
Either
They
way,
just moved in
but either way, if they're there, it should have been inspected.
and that,
From them, they should have gotten an inspection prior to renting,
Correct.
Mr. Martin.
Absolutely.
correct.
If he had not, what is our recourse on that, John?
Well, Joey's trying to get in, my understanding is Joey's trying to get in there now to inspect the interior of the property. He won't let Martin or anybody else won't let them in. Got a letter from attorney John Delick on behalf of Mr. Martin saying, we're not really cooperating right now until you tell us what your legal authority is to go in there. Quite frankly, I haven't had a chance to talk to Joey about it, but my opinion is
Or legal
I'm
authority.
not responding to. I mean, I don't think there's a need to respond to it. We're the municipality.
Correct.
We have the ability to go in there.
You
and
rented or occupy a structure in our
Correct.
territory, you follow our guidelines.
Correct.
So, you know, I guess what is our next step?
Next, if he's not going to let us in, we have to go to judge, get a warrant, go in there.
Okay.
But again, I have not had a conversation directly with anybody about Martin for probably 2-3 weeks. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, Joey was off for 10 days, so.
Still back this up a minute. So you're okay with that?
Yeah, them going in there?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm confused.
I'm not sure how, because this is an occupied building that we now have before it is rented, these are new occupants in there.
Okay.
It should have been inspected
Right,
By our laws.
by
right.
our guidelines. You think that that's somehow different than?
Well, now because you're going into somebody's property, you're going into.
But we
this
have
property.
that law that if before you can rent it to an
Fire
occupant.
But he just said he doesn't know if it's being rented.
Well, what
We
I
don't
said.
know if it's. He might just have his brother there.
We're going in
No,
every.
no.
He has a motorcycle club there. We know that.
What I meant by let me clarify. What I meant was I was just pointing out that I don't know if there's any rent actually exchanging.
You don't know if there's cash being
the
changed.
fact that there is someone other than the owner who is occupying the property,
Okay.
I would say makes that a landlord-tenant situation, regardless of
There's
whether
money
if
or
there's
not
money
money.
or not going. Because I don't know what other side arrangements they might have.
Right, that could be,
Okay.
And I would
Bartering
completely
for something.
agree with that. But I
Okay.
wouldn't agree with you saying, going to somebody's building who is taken care of and pays their taxes and saying, we need to come in here and see what's going on. I wouldn't agree with that.
Well, the fire department is now going in every commercial business and doing fire.
But that's
Which-
the.
but
They're
that's not
supposed to do
It's
that
safe.
yearly.
Earlier.
Correct.
For even for the owner.
Going in.
Correct.
You're still talking about commercial though.
Both examples are commercials?
Yes.
So did you say that you don't think that they should go in and inspect commercial property at all?
No.
See, that's where I'm.
Open to the public?
Correct. Go in and inspect open to public businesses. Or in
Which-
structures.
Which
We're letting
is
people in.
essentially what this club is I'm trying to find out where
We're
the,
also talking about the safety issues of people going in there into a private business. That's fine. But you going to me owning a building that I own,
Yep.
saying I need to get in here and check it out. It's not occupied. It's not open to the public. What?
it's not occupied.
Well, I own it, but it isn't. It just isn't a business running out of there.
Where there's public.
Where there's public going in and out.
And I think, if I'm understanding, I'm trying to make the connection. I'm trying to help you out here. I think what he's saying is there's no public going in there.
Okay.
Here we have it. Although
It's
it is a
safe.
private club, it is a private club. It's limited. It's still public going in there. You're still having the public go in. They're not living there.
Right.
So I think we would have just as much right to inspect the inside of that club or the building at like we would going into Nemen's and inspecting all the areas where the public goes within that grocery store to make sure that there's no issues.
So then if those downtown buildings were being used, then that would give us a right to
Sure.
go in there.
Absolutely.
I think
And
that help.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Sure.
And
so,
that's why they were able to get into Eagle Antiques with the fire.
And again, from the start, I think everybody's misconstruing my complaint. My complaint was 100% against taxing people who take care of their property because somebody isn't renting it.
because it's vacant.
Because it's vacant. I have a problem with that 100%. 1,000%. I have a problem with now making people register their house that they own but they don't live in, but nobody rents it. But they take care of it. Because if they don't take care of it, we have a set of laws that govern that.
Right.
So those are my issues. I'm not for, you know what I mean?
And I think we've just been lax in what we do with those. So hopefully, like we said, we've got all this implemented. It's already been the last 6 months. We've seen a lot of
We have to enforce the laws
changes.
we have on the books
Right.
now.
Well, and it's not even the last 6 months. I mean, I feel like
Been
in the
years.
last month, I feel like we've given a lot more teeth to this situation.
Well, just last week. we
So,
gave
I-
somebody a lot
again,
of
I'm-
teeth.
I'm
But I mean,
for
the last
that.
6 months, I think
Right.
we've seen even. I mean, anytime I call Joey, anytime I talk to Tim, I mean, I have to say, like, things are addressed.
Absolutely.
Things are
Or
done.
they
I
already
mean,
Absolutely.
have it on their records.
Right.
But I want to
So-
watch how, I mean, I guess, me being part of this body of government, I want to watch how bloated we get as far as our guidelines go, as far as our restrictions go. I mean, again, I feel like we
Well,
put things
you-
in
you-
place.
You can nitpick and nothing.
Correct.
Till where they don't
Correct.
want to do
I mean,
anything.
So
We're
there
not just
you
going to
go, why that
continue
caution
to,
tape
we're not going to
or whatever.
continue
No.
to make more law and more law and more law and more law. We have ones that work now,
Okay.
let's let them work.
So my question is, what is going on with Martin's property on Midlothian?
I don't know.
That it's taped off?
I don't know.
There's
I didn't do
caution
it. I don't,
tape
I have no
on it.
clue.
We had a structural engineer down there and he said tape it off because the outside wall
It's a hazard to the
is
public.
coming down.
Yeah, so it's a hazard to the public, that's why it's roped off, correct?
Yes.
And on a sidewalk that is open to the public.
That's what we had to do.
We had to
the
do it
pizza
down at
Right.
the pizza place. Somebody
Right.
walks by and a brick falls off and hits him in the head.
So how
On our
long do we
sidewalk.
give them to fix it, Tim?
Joey's on him.
Okay, that's all I wanna know. How long do we give them to fix it?
Well,
And-
with the new rules, it's what, 14 days, right?
Yeah,
And what do they have to comply with?
When he gets a note, when he gets the notice.
Yeah, then it's 14
Tim,
days.
what do they have to comply with? Who is the governing body on this is satisfactory work? Our structural engineer?
Oh, it'd have to be a structural engineer.
Correct.
They probably have to
Which
get it
would be-
inspected after the work's done.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And that makes sense to me.
Absolutely.
That's perfectly fine.
And he's
You know?
been in the buildings downtown next to Las Gallos. He's been,
Did he,
That's why that's roped off,
the
because
Las
the bricks
Gallos, yeah,
are
'cause
loose
I
at
was
the
wondering
top.
that, because
No, yeah,
there
it
used to
was
be
coming
cars
out.
parked there, I'm thinking, these guys are
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
for parking up there.
I think the judge's car was underneath there,
Yeah.
the brick.
Somebody blamed it on that.
Yeah.
But I'm for keeping the public safe 100%. If the public is going into a business that is open to the public, then yes,
Yeah,
it
well,
should.
it has to be safe.
It
Yes.
should be
Yeah.
make sure that it's safe. You know, I'm not against all of those things. But taxing people for vacancy, problem.
I truly believe Joey's doing everything he can with the rentals and everything like that. And he ran into a problem with it, getting tied up in the courts, so.
I think he's just
So
frustrated.
we're just,
Listen, Joey.
Joey trying to bypass that and just.
Joey's
like,
very
get time to work.
passionate about doing this,
Oh,
and he
yeah.
always has been. And I always used to make the joke when he sat next to me on council that he wants to tar and feather people.
Joey
But
does a great
He
job.
does a phenomenal job. He's
Right.
doing great with it. I understand he's getting frustrated because he's working hard. He wants things to go a lot smoother. But as far as taxing people goes for vacancy, if that is what he meant for us tonight, I'm 100% against it.
Me too.
Okay,
If we need to do something else, to look at other ordinances and fine tune them in any way, I'm for looking at them, that's fine, but
I don't see how you interpret that any other way than.
I don't mean fine tune this one, I mean
No,
ordinances
you
we
had said
already have.
earlier you don't know what he was actually going for. I don't see how you interpret it any
Well,
way
yeah,
else.
yeah, I'm just trying to give the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
You know. What else we got to argue about tonight? We're doing good.
Well, I don't think we're arguing about
No,
it.
No, we are, but that's
Good
good.
discussion.
Yeah, that's discussion. That's what we got to do.
I mean, I just would like to see, I honestly would like to see our downtown, and I think all of us would like to see our
Oh, we'd love
downtown.
it.
And I just think it's a shame that like people do get away with, that own these properties, know exactly what they're doing.
yeah,
And you
agreed.
know what I mean, it's a shame. You could sell that property, you could get money for it, you could not have somebody that's gonna fix it up and use it.
I agree.
Instead of having it sit there like that.
Mhm.
I agree.
So it's just a shame that people do that.
I agree, and I agree that it's a shame, but I'm not willing to infringe on
Well, and I'm not
free
either.
market
Oh, I'm not
rights.
either.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I just feel that, like, if somebody approaches you and wants to buy that property, gives you a nice amount for, reasonable, whatever. But no.
I agree.
But then once they know that they can sell it, then they up
There's-
it and.
Listen, in a capitalist society, there's pros and cons, but there's a lot more pros than cons. So you still got to protect the free market. I mean, that's the truth.
So
Not-
and then once Las Galvas, if we do anything with that building or
I
get
think-
anything, it can only make things worth more down there.
Yeah, I think that's great. I was just more cautious of the city getting into the business. Basically, is what you're doing. You're getting into the real estate business.
Well, and using the taxpayers' money.
Correct. You wanna get
They
into
don't wanna
business.
buy this,
You do it privately if you want to get into business.
so we'll see what happens.
However, I will say I'm glad to see Los Galvos doing something now. It's in the hands of somebody who
The inside of that building is very nice.
has an
Yeah.
intention
Yeah.
for it, I guess. You know what I mean? It's been sitting there rotting for a few years. So I
Whatever you
am
can
glad
get
to
in
see
there.
that.
What is going on with it? I don't even know what's going on.
City owns it.
See, that I knew.
That's all we were talking about.
We just.
I didn't know if the city found somebody to take it.
We,
Did it cost us a lot of money?
I'm sure it did. Well, it went to sheriff's sale twice and no bids.
I thought you were.
I was going to, but listen, the sheriff's sale twice, no bids. No bids, it goes to an absolute auction generally, the end of the year auditor's auction. I would have then bought it at the auditor's auction and you could have probably got it for next to nothing, Taxes there are outrageous. So if you're gonna buy it, you better have a plan for it, or you better negotiate with the county to get a better rate, because I think taxes are $9,000 a year, $10,000 a year. I don't know if you know. They were something like that, so it's not something you wanna buy and just hang on to,
Mhm.
Paying $1,000 a month almost.
Plus the vacancy tax.
Over my dead body, John.
Good news.
I agree.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing that out, Mr. C.
Yeah, way to go, Ron.
Hey, guys,
Thought this was gonna be a nice quick meeting.
Yeah, me
No, I'm only kidding.
For tonight's entertainment.
Yeah, I'm only
right.
kidding.
Read this.
Okay. Calling for adjournment if nobody wants to say anything.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Good news.
Okay.
Good job, everybody.
Mr. C, give me my pen.
I didn't even have to write nothing.
That's Joey Rudsick.
Huh?
That's Joey Rudsick's pen.
Protecting people's liberties around here, John. Or, Jim.
That's the name of the game, man.
Yeah, because if you really think about it, like where Ronnie Edwards was squatting on Maplewood.